When a giant anaconda appeared at a construction site, workers quickly determined that something was seriously wrong with it. The snake was moving extremely slowly and had an unnaturally large bulge on its body. When a veterinarian opened the animal to reveal what was causing the bulge, no one could believe what they saw. How did the snake find this object so deep in the rainforest? When workers called the veterinarian, he decided he would come immediately. This snake needed to be operated on because there was obviously something in its stomach that should not be there. It could very well be a life or death situation. When the veterinarian finally arrived, he quickly sedated the giant anaconda. It was not the first time he had done a procedure like this, but he was still very nervous. What did they find inside the snake? And why was the veterinarian so incredibly surprised by it? But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you have not, and hit that notification bell so that you will not miss any new stories. For a few months now, a new road in the Amazon rainforest had been under construction. Workers were working hard to ensure this new road was finished as quickly as possible. But it had not been easy. The workers were way behind schedule. They could no longer afford to slow down. Their boss gave them an ultimatum. They had until the end of the month or they would all be fired. The workers decided to work even harder than before. At that time, they did not know that they were about to face another big obstacle. When the workers were clearing the path where the sidewalk would go, one of them suddenly jumped back. He had seen something come out of the vegetation that scared him to death. It was an anaconda, but not just any anaconda. It was the biggest anaconda they had ever seen. The workers hoped it would pass quickly so they could continue with their work. But it looked like the snake had decided it was going to settle here. What should they do? When the giant anaconda was halfway through the bushes, a giant bulge could be seen on its body. The workers could hardly believe their eyes. They had never seen anything like this before. They had to act. They decided they would have to call and try to get in touch with the nearest animal veterinarian. When the call with the veterinarian ended, the employee who called him reacted in shock. The veterinarian had said that the snake could very well be pregnant and was perhaps getting ready to lay her eggs there in the middle of the newly built road. To confirm this suspicion, the veterinarian had a dangerous task for the workers. She tasked the workers with trying to find out where the bulge was located on the body. To do this, the snake would need to be moved a little. Most of the workers were hesitant about whether they should actually do this. What if the snake attacked them? Then one of them took control of the situation. The brave worker decided that he would be the one to place himself into danger to ensure that the others would be safe. Then two other brave workers decided that they were going to pull the snake's tail to try to stretch it. This way, they would be able to determine precisely where the bulge was located. As it turned out, luck would be on their side. The head of the anaconda was a far distance away from the end of the tail, so the chances of it being able to bite them were slim, especially with how slow the snake had been moving before. But they still did not want to take any risks, so they took extra security measures. The two men equipped themselves with some of the toughest materials they could find. Well, the first brave worker joined them to distract the snake if necessary. With their hearts beating out of their chests, the two men grabbed the snake's tail. All the other workers held their breath, hoping that everything would go according to plan. Some more joined in to help out. Fortunately, it turned out that there was nothing to worry about. The snake did not resist and let itself be stretched almost completely. It became more and more obvious that something was very wrong with this animal. The workers could now see exactly where the bulge was located on the body. They called the veterinarian to report their findings. The workers were curious what to do next, as they had never seen a snake laying its eggs before. But the veterinarian's tone immediately changed when she heard where the bulge was. If the bulge had been due to eggs, it would have been located much further back on the body. The bulge was located at the beginning of the stomach, which meant that it was something that was probably stuck, unable to get further into the snake's body. But what could be inside that snake? The snake had obviously swallowed something it should not have, and likely needed immediate surgery to survive. There was no time to lose, but the workers did not know what to do. They asked the veterinarian for advice. Would she please come to help them, or should they bring the snake to her? They hoped she would come to them. But for the veterinarian, getting to the workers' location was a real challenge. She did not know the exact location of the snake and the workers. Plus, it was rush hour too, so she would probably get stuck in traffic. Still, she needed to get there as quickly as possible to give the snake the best chance of survival. One of the workers proposed to pick her up, but that would take a long time. Fortunately, one of the other workers came up with a great idea. There were still people in the company's warehouse who knew exactly where the workers were and how to get there. The veterinarian agreed to visit the company's warehouse. After explaining the situation, a manager was willing to help her. They used the manager's off-road Jeep to cross the rainforest. The veterinarian experienced one hell of a ride, as getting through the Amazon rainforest is never easy. The trip took about 3 hours in total, a journey during which the veterinarian had more than once considered whether this snake's life was worth wasting a full day, plus potentially an extra one on it. Other animals in need may also have needed her help, but she had made a decision that she would have to stick to. After 3 hours, she arrived at the snake. When she finally managed to lay eyes on it, she instantly knew that it had all been worth the effort. The workers also struggled with the length of time they had to wait for the veterinarian. Their fear became real. The snake had no intention of staying in its current spot. It had waited long enough and was trying to move again. The workers had no idea what to do next. Some workers just wanted to let it go, as it meant they could finally continue working. Why were they worrying so much about a snake in the first place? It was just an animal. They wanted to keep doing their work as they wanted to make sure they finished before the deadline. But there was not much consensus around the whole group of workers. Others took the doctor's words to heart and knew that if they released the snake now, it would surely die. Fortunately for the snake and the doctor, this group was the overwhelming majority. The snake was still moving very slowly, so the workers managed to block its way back into the depths of the jungle with metal plates that they had brought with them as supplies. But this measure had a major drawback. They could not encase the snake completely, so they had to keep moving to keep blocking the snake's path. The animal was obviously getting irritated by this, and the workers had to be careful. Workers began to worry, was this the right thing to do, or was someone going to get seriously hurt? A snake that size, even if it was not in good condition, could easily kill one of them if it caught them. The workers knew they had to trust each other. It became a team effort where even the people who had wanted to let the snake go helped out. When the veterinarian finally arrived on the scene, the snake was still lying in the same spot where workers had kept it. But it became increasingly obvious that this would not be the case for long, as the snake had become very aggressive at this point. The snake did not even go for the sheet metal that was blocking its way, but instead targeted the workers who were holding the metal. Many of the workers had already been scared, but the fear of the snake had increased to a record level by now. Some workers dropped the metal and ran away. The veterinarian had to act quickly and knew the only chance she had was to quickly sedate the snake. But sedating the snake was not without certain risks. There was always the risk that the snake might not wake up from it, considering the condition it was in. Still seeing her so actively trying to attack the workers, the doctor was confident that she would survive the injection. The only thing left was to approach the snake with the tranquilizers. The veterinarian waited for the snake to turn its head in the other direction. After that, she slowly approached the snake and quickly injected the sedative into the snake's lower body. Now, they had to wait until the snake was fully sedated. Over the next few minutes, it slowed down more and more, and the veterinarian was able to inject the snake with a few more sedatives that were needed for a snake this size to lose consciousness completely. After a while, the snake was completely knocked out. Some workers fell to their knees from exhaustion, and their heartbeats finally returned to normal. They had faced the possibility of death countless times during the past few hours, so they were relieved to have survived. Now, the veterinarian could finally turn her attention to the big bulge on the snake, the one she had come all the way out here for. She took her surgery kit from the big company warehouse jeep and prepared it to start work. She quickly confirmed her suspicions by feeling the snake's body. There was an object stuck in the entrance to its stomach. The object trapped in its body was something the snake had swallowed and could not be broken down by the digestive system. The veterinarian could only do one thing. At this point, there was nothing else to do but carefully cut the snake and take the object out of it. Surgery always carries a risk, especially if that surgery has to be done in the middle of the rainforest. But there was no other option available. With the utmost precision and care, the veterinarian opened the snake along with the bulge, and after passing through the skin and muscles, the origin of the bulge was finally revealed to everyone. But it was not what they expected it to be. From inside the snake came a small plastic box that baffled the veterinarian at first, but one that the workers immediately recognized. They finally realized what had happened. They also realized that this was not good news for the snake. This box was the cooler box in which they kept most of their easily spoiling food, such as meat. However, the meat in this box had gone bad and had started to smell terribly, so they had left it outside the truck. They still could not figure out how the snake found this cooler, as they thought they had kept it safe. The snake must have caught the scent of the meat and thought it was prey, swallowing it whole. But unfortunately, it had quickly learned the consequences of a mistake that could turn out to be fatal for the snake. With the cooler removed, the veterinarian quickly began sewing the snake back together. As she did so, she also chipped the snake to track its movement and to see if it would survive the ordeal in the long run. They then woke the snake, hoping it would not be aggressive anymore. It took a few minutes for the snake to wake up. It was still stunned and confused at first, but after a while, it started crawling much faster than it had done before the surgery. After the snake disappeared back into the woods, the veterinarian had one thing she needed to do. She thanked the workers for their incredible effort to keep the snake and themselves safe. After that, she returned to the city where she had more patients waiting for her. To make sure the snake was okay, the veterinarian did one last thing. She monitored the snake's behavior through the chip she planted. The snake was behaving completely normal, and the veterinarian could confidently say that the operation was a success. She saved the animals.